Welcome to another deep dive.
Thank you. It is great to be looking at this today.
Yeah, I'm looking at a stack of data right now that is honestly completely reframing how I think about the physical reality of running a business.
It's a major shift.
It really is. I want you to picture the scene for a moment.
Okay.
The year is 2026. And if you look out over the skyline of London right now, you are watching a commercial real estate market that is going through a massive, profound, and frankly, unprecedented transformation.
Absolutely unprecedented.
We aren't just talking about buildings changing hands here or, lease rates fluctuating.
This is much deeper than that.
Right. We are talking about the very DNA of how, where, and why we work being fundamentally rewritten.
And to navigate this, we've got our hands on some truly vital source material today.
Yes, we do. We have excerpts from a highly anticipated document called Strategic Frameworks for London's Office Markets 2026.
It's a dense read.
Very dense. Which is why our mission today is to take this framework and act as your strategic guide. We want to help you through a critical growth decision you are likely facing right now or will be very soon.
Especially if you're in any kind of leadership role.
Exactly. If you are a business leader, an entrepreneur, a CFO, or just someone fascinated by modern corporate strategy, you really need to hear this.
Because we are looking at the ultimate showdown for your 2026 growth strategy.
The choice between a serviced office space and a managed office solution.
And it is crucial to establish right from the outset that we have to elevate our thinking here. We need to move beyond the traditional view of real estate.
Like, it's not just about picking a building.
Exactly. This is not merely a tactical choice about picking a prestigious address.
Yeah.
Or deciding what kind of espresso machine you want in the break room.
Though the espresso machine is important.
It is, but this decision is a strategic imperative. The workspace model you choose will directly and deeply impact three core pillars of your organization.
Okay, let's lay those pillars out for everyone listening.
First, operational efficiency. This is how smoothly your day-to-day business functions without friction.
Right.
Second, cultural cohesion. How your team actually connects, collaborates, and identifies with your company's core values in a world that is still highly fragmented.
That's the hybrid work element.
Precisely. And third, financial agility. Your ability to pivot, scale, and deploy capital effectively in an economic landscape that remains largely unpredictable.
So the choice between these models reverberates through every layer of the business.
For years to come.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to really understand the gravity of this choice, we have to look at the baseline of what is happening in the market right now.
The sheer volume of the shift is staggering.
I have to admit, when I first read the numbers in this Strategic Frameworks document, I actually thought there was a typo.
You're referring to the surge?
Yes. The report cites a 100% year-on-year increase in inquiries for flexible office solutions across the capital.
A full doubling of demand.
A 100% surge. That doesn't feel like a gradual trend to me. That feels like a seismic shift.
It is.
The market has literally doubled its appetite for these kinds of spaces in a single year. How does that even happen?
Well, it is a staggering metric, but it makes sense when you view it as a culmination of post-pandemic behavioral shifts.
Like things finally settling down.
Yes, finally solidifying into long-term corporate policy, a remarkable bounce back. But what is truly compelling is looking at the specific drivers fueling this surge.
Why exactly companies are clamoring for flexible solutions at double the rate?
Right. The source material highlights a confluence of demands, and it starts with an aggressive hunt for premium locations.
Okay.
We are seeing what the industry calls a flight to quality.
A flight to quality, meaning companies are abandoning the cheaper outskirts offices.
Precisely. Companies are realizing that if they're going to maintain a physical footprint in 2026, it needs to be a destination.
It has to be worth leaving the house for.
Exactly. It has to be in a prime, highly accessible, and prestigious area to justify the commute.
But location alone isn't enough, right?
No, and that leads into the second driver.
Yeah.
An absolute requirement for state-of-the-art amenities.
Because a desk and a swivel chair just don't cut it anymore.
The era where a desk and a water cooler were sufficient is completely over.
Yeah.
Businesses are demanding advanced technology infrastructure, high-end acoustic meeting spaces, seamless digital connectivity for virtual collaborations.
And wellness facilities, the report mentioned.
Dedicated wellness facilities, yes.
I'm assuming that ties directly into the hybrid working aspect. Because if you want me to leave my comfortable home office, your office better offer something I can't get at my kitchen table.
That is the exact psychological mechanism at play.
Yep.
And it represents the third, arguably most critical driver.
The necessity of supporting hybrid work.
The absolute necessity. The traditional static office simply cannot accommodate a workforce that fluctuates wildly in size and presence from day to day.
Right, because nobody is there 5 days a week anymore.
Imagine a CFO looking at a traditional lease. They see a space that might be at 90% capacity on a Wednesday, but only 15% capacity on a Friday.
That is massive operational waste. You're paying to air condition empty rooms.
Exactly. So the demand for flexible space is fundamentally a demand for real estate that bends to the rhythm of hybrid work.
Rather than forcing hybrid work to conform to rigid real estate.
Beautifully put, yes.
It makes total sense. But there is a financial puzzle here that the document points out, and I'd love for you to translate it for those of us who don't spend our days looking at corporate balance sheets.
Happy to.
The report keeps bringing up this capital expenditure factor as the crux of the whole 100% surge.
The CapEx factor.
Right. Because on one hand, companies are demanding these premium zip codes, barista quality coffee machines, state-of-the-art air filtration, and highly agile setup.
All the highly expensive things.
Yes. But the report says they want all of this without taking on long-term capital expenditure. How does a company get all those expensive things without actually paying for them up front?
That is the defining tension of the 2026 market. To understand it, we need to look at the shifting mindset of modern business leaders regarding capital.
Yep.
Capital expenditure, or CapEx, involves large, upfront, sunk costs. In traditional real estate, that means paying for the physical fit-out of an empty concrete shell.
You literally get an empty box and have to build it.
Exactly. It means buying the drywall, the commercial-grade HVAC systems, the network cabling, the desks, the glass partitions.
Which is a massive drain on cash reserves.
A huge drain. Operational expenditure, or OpEx, is entirely different. It treats real estate as a predictable, flexible, monthly operating cost.
Like a software subscription.
Exactly like that.
So it's a difference between buying a massive enterprise server rack to put in your basement versus just paying a monthly fee for cloud storage.
That is an excellent way to conceptualize it. Or, to use an analogy closer to the physical realm,
Let's hear it.
it is exactly like wanting to drive a top-of-the-line luxury car. The newest model with all the advanced telemetry and comfort features.
But you don't want to buy it outright.
You refuse to pay the massive upfront down payment or commit to a rigid 10-year loan.
You just lease it.
Right. You want the experience, the status, and the utility of the vehicle, but you want to keep your cash in the bank to actually run your life.
Or in this case, run your business.
Precisely. Businesses in 2026 want to deploy their precious capital into growth, acquiring top talent, aggressive R&D.
They do not want to sink their funding into office furniture and ceiling tiles.
Exactly. That shift in financial philosophy from CapEx to OpEx is exactly what brings us to the first major contender in our strategic showdown.
Okay, let's bring that first contender into the ring. The serviced office.
The heavy hitter of the flexible market.
The source document lays out a very specific definition for this. It describes a serviced office space as a fully furnished operational office environment on a flexible contract.
Usually rolling month to month.
Month to month. It calls it the ultimate plug-and-play solution, but I want to push past the jargon.
Okay.
If I am an entrepreneur walking into one of these spaces in London right now, what does plug-and-play actually look like on day one?
It means the barrier to entry is essentially zero. You bring your team, your laptops, and your intellectual property.
And that's it.
Literally everything else is provided and managed by the operator.
Wow.
The desks are wired, the enterprise-grade Wi-Fi is active, the communal kitchens are stocked, the reception is staffed.
Even the meeting rooms.
Meeting rooms are ready to be booked via an app on your phone. You are quite literally plugging your business into an existing, high-functioning corporate ecosystem.
And when we dive into the advantages of this model, the report heavily emphasizes maximum flexibility.
It is their biggest selling point.
I know we throw the word flexibility around a lot in business, but let's ground this.
Let's do a scenario.
Yeah, let's say I'm running a tech startup. We've got 20 employees. We just landed a massive Series B funding round, and my mandate is to double our headcount in the next 3 months.
Going from 20 to 40 people rapidly.
Yes. In a traditional 10-year lease, what happens to me?
In a traditional lease, you are facing an operational nightmare. You are physically out of space.
So I have to cram them in.
Your only options are to cram 40 people into a space designed for 20, completely destroying your cultural cohesion and operational efficiency.
People working in the hallways.
Exactly. Or you have to initiate a month-long search for a new, larger building.
Which takes forever.
You have to negotiate a new lease, pay dual rent while you fit out the new space, and manage a highly disruptive company move.
My momentum stalls completely.
You stop focusing on the business and start focusing on real estate.
That sounds incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
So how does the serviced office model solve that specific 20 to 40 employee jump?
In a serviced office, you leverage that elasticity. You simply walk down to the community manager's desk.
The person running the floor.
Right. And you request the suite next door, or a larger suite on a different floor.
Just like that.
Because you are on a rolling monthly contract, you upgrade your space almost instantly to match your headcount. You absorb the new talent without skipping a beat.
That is wild.
And perhaps more importantly, consider the reverse scenario. What if the market contracts?
Oh, like a client pulls out.
Yes. What if a major client pulls out and you have to reduce your headcount back to 15?
In a traditional lease, I'm stuck paying for 25 empty desks for the next 9 years.
Exactly. You are bleeding capital. But in the service model, you simply release the excess space at the end of the month.
That level of hyperelasticity is an incredible strategic advantage in a volatile market.
It ensures your real estate costs are always perfectly synchronized with your actual real-time operational needs.
It's like having a volume dial for your real estate footprint. You just turn it up or turn it down based on exactly what the business requires that month.
The volume dial is a great way to think about it.
And tying right back into our luxury car analogy, the second huge advantage the document highlights here is minimal capital.
Zero CapEx.
The source emphasizes that there are absolutely no fit-out costs or large deposits. If any of our listeners have ever tried to fit out a raw commercial space, they know it is a black hole of unexpected expenses.
It is entirely CapEx-free. You completely bypass the procurement process.
So I'm not picking out chairs.
You aren't sourcing ergonomic chairs. You aren't hiring contractors to install secure fiber optic lines. You aren't purchasing expensive audio-visual equipment for the boardrooms.
All of that capital stays in my bank account.
Ready to be deployed into actual business generation.
Which directly leads to the third advantage in the framework. Immediate occupancy.
The speed to market.
Right, because you aren't dealing with contractors or supply chain delays on furniture or complex lease negotiations with landlords. The timeline is drastically compressed.
The report states you can move in within days, not months.
A business could theoretically sign an agreement on a Tuesday and have their entire team working at fully functional desks, drinking coffee from the shared kitchen, by Thursday morning.
It happens all the time in London right now.
For a fast-growing startup, or maybe an international company looking to rapidly establish a bridgehead in London, that speed has to be invaluable.
It is often the deciding factor. Speed to market allows a business to seize opportunities immediately rather than waiting on infrastructure.
And there's another fascinating, less tangible layer to the serviced model that the document points out.
The networking potential.
Yeah, the networking. Because you are essentially sharing a larger building, or at least the amenities of that building, with dozens, maybe hundreds of other businesses.
You have access to extensive shared communal areas. Lounges, kitchens, event spaces.
Right. The idea that these shared areas uniquely foster collaboration between entirely different companies.
The serendipitous collisions.
You're waiting for your espresso to brew, and suddenly you strike up a conversation with a graphic design agency, or a boutique law firm, or a software developer.
Exactly.
Do those actually lead to real business, or is that just marketing fluff from the workspace providers?
It's a fair question. The framework suggests it is a genuine asset, particularly for early-stage or highly collaborative industries.
So it does work.
It creates an ecosystem built right into your rent. You have a built-in pool of potential vendors, clients, and partners literally walking the same hallways.
That's convenient.
It fosters a very specific, energetic, startup-style culture that can be highly motivating.
Okay, I'm hearing a lot of positives. Hyper-flexible, zero capital expenditure, lightning fast move-in, and built-in networking.
It sounds ideal.
It sounds like a utopia. But I have to play devil's advocate here. Any comprehensive strategic framework has to weigh the risks. There has to be a catch.
There's always a catch.
Where does this serviced office model start to break down?
The framework is very clear-eyed about the drawbacks. The most significant vulnerability is what the report identifies as the long-term cost trap.
The long-term cost trap.
Yes, you are paying for that ultimate flexibility, that fully managed convenience, and that zero CapEx entry. But that convenience comes at a significant premium.
So it's essentially a convenience fee.
It is exactly a convenience fee. If you look at the baseline monthly cost of a single desk in a serviced office versus the equivalent square footage in a traditional or managed setup,
The service desk is higher.
it will almost always be higher. On a month-to-month basis, particularly when you are small, it feels entirely manageable.
Because you aren't paying for the fit out.
Right. The danger lies in the compounding effect over time. When you project that premium over a 12 to 24-month timeline, the math becomes highly inefficient.
Oh, I see.
What started as a clever, agile capital-saving move can slowly mutate into a massive drain on your operational budget.
Especially if your headcount stabilizes and you no longer actually need that daily flexibility you are constantly paying for.
Exactly. You're paying for a life raft while you're standing on solid ground.
That is a massive trap. It's like keeping a highly expensive rental car for 3 years just in case you want to return it tomorrow instead of just buying a car.
That's a perfect analogy.
What does that actually look like on a balance sheet over time?
It looks like hundreds of thousands of pounds in lost capital for a mid-sized team. You are continually paying a premium to hedge against a volatility that may no longer exist in your business model.
Just burning cash.
Yes. And as your business matures, that financial inefficiency is compounded by severe physical and cultural limitations.
Limitations like what?
The document explicitly notes the lack of brand customization as a major drawback. In a serviced office, the layout and the branding are heavily restricted by the operator.
Because it's not your office, really. It's the provider's office, and you are just a long-term guest in it.
Precisely. You cannot knock down a wall to create a custom 20-person collaborative war room.
You get what you get.
You cannot rip up the carpets and install hardwood floors. You certainly cannot paint the walls in your company's highly specific brand colors.
You can't make it yours.
You might be permitted to place a frosted logo decal on your primary glass door, but structurally and aesthetically, you are operating within someone else's brand environment.
I can see how that becomes a problem. When you are a 5-person startup, you don't care. You're just happy to have fast Wi-Fi.
Right.
But when your brand becomes established and you are trying to project authority and stability,
It changes everything.
walking your top-tier enterprise clients into a generic lobby with a giant neon sign of the Workspace provider's logo on the wall starts to feel a bit amateur, doesn't it?
It creates a cognitive dissonance for your clients and your employees.
Yeah.
And alongside that loss of brand identity comes a very real loss of privacy, inherently due to those same shared communal areas we praised a moment ago.
The networking spaces.
Yes, networking in the kitchen is great when you are looking for a freelance graphic designer, but consider a more mature operational scenario. What happens when your executive team needs to have a highly confidential, urgent conversation about a potential merger or a sensitive HR issue?
And the walls to the shared corridor are practically paper thin.
Exactly.
That sounds like a compliance nightmare, let alone a strategic one.
Or consider the impact on operational efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when your engineering team is trying to execute a complex code sprint on a critical deadline?
They need focus.
But the startup across the hall is hosting a loud, alcohol-fueled ping pong tournament in the communal lounge right outside your glass door.
Oh man, that would drive me crazy.
You have absolutely no control over the acoustic or cultural environment, just inches from your workstations.
What's fascinating here is how the very things that make serviced offices so incredibly attractive in the beginning,
Right.
the shared spaces, the buzzing, chaotic atmosphere, the fact that you don't have to manage any of the infrastructure, those exact same features become their biggest liabilities as a company matures.
It's a complete inversion.
When you are 5 people, sharing a kitchen is a fun networking opportunity. When you are 50 people, sharing a single espresso machine with 3 other companies is a daily friction point that breeds resentment.
What's fascinating here is how clearly that illustrates the life cycle of business real estate. The framework proves that a solution perfectly optimized for one phase of corporate growth becomes entirely suboptimal, even detrimental, for the next phase.
You age out of it.
You cannot force a stabilizing, mature business to operate within a framework designed for volatile, early-stage agility.
Which brings us, naturally, to the alternative framework outlined in the 2026 report.
The managed office solution.
Right. So if the serviced office has this massive cost trap over time and the cultural friction of shared spaces, what is the alternative?
The bridge.
Does the report outline a solution that gives us brand identity and financial sanity without forcing us back into the dark ages of a 10-year traditional CapEx-heavy lease?
It does. It introduces the second major contender, the managed office solution. The source document defines this model beautifully. It describes it as the crucial bridge between a traditional, rigid lease and a temporary serviced office.
A bridge between the two extremes.
It is an evolutionary step designed to capture the best elements of both worlds while strategically eliminating their worst pain points.
Okay, let's look at the defining characteristics of this managed model, because it sounds like a delicate balancing act. How does it actually work in practice?
A managed office is a private, fully customized workspace that's designed for your specific business. But it is still built, run, and maintained by a third-party provider.
Okay, so it's mine, but I don't run it.
Exactly. However, the critical distinction lies in the length of commitment.
Length of commitment, let's talk about that.
Unlike the monthly rolling contract of a serviced office, a managed office is typically locked into a 2-year exclusive managed term.
2 years.
That is a fundamental shift in your real estate strategy.
A 2-year term. I hear that, and my immediate reaction is caution.
Understandably.
You just spent 10 minutes explaining how incredible it is to have monthly flexibility in a volatile post-pandemic market. Isn't a 2-year lock-in inherently risky?
It is a commitment.
You are dropping a massive anchor. In exchange for dropping that anchor, the advantages better be substantial.
They are highly substantial, and they begin with brand identity and cultural cohesion.
Something the service model lacked.
Completely. The document highlights the ability to create an environment that actually reflects your company's unique ethos from the ground up.
So no more generic provider logos in the lobby.
No, this isn't about just sticking a decal on a glass door or bringing in your own desk plants. This is about engaging in a deep consultative process with the provider before you ever move in.
You design it with them?
You dictate the flow of the space.
So if I know my engineering team needs total silence, but my sales team needs high energy, I can build that into the physical layout.
Exactly. You want expansive, open-plan collaborative zones with modular furniture. You have it.
Custom spaces.
You need 6 acoustically soundproof pods for intensive client calls. It is built to your specifications.
That's incredible control.
You want the reception area, the lighting, the textures, and the very layout to scream your specific brand values the second a new hire or a major client walks off the elevator.
It's entirely mine.
It is entirely yours. You are creating a physical, bespoke manifestation of your company culture, completely insulated from other businesses.
That has to be huge for employee retention in 2026. If we are trying to convince people that the commute is worth it, giving them a space that feels like a dedicated, high-performance sanctuary tailored to how they actually work seems like a massive win.
It is a core driver for getting teams back together.
But let's talk about the money. Because custom building soundproof pods and branded receptions sounds exactly like the massive CapEx drain we were trying to avoid earlier.
It does sound like it.
How is this different from a traditional lease fit-out? Who pays for all that custom drywall and branding up front? How do I avoid the CapEx hit?
That is the genius of the managed framework. The third-party provider takes on the upfront capital expenditure of building out your custom design.
The provider pays for it.
They pay the contractors, they buy the furniture, they install the fiber optics.
Okay, what's the catch?
They then amortize or spread out the cost of that custom fit-out over the length of your 2-year term.
Blending it into my monthly cost.
Exactly. By committing to the time, you allow the provider to recoup their investment slowly.
So it's like financing the build-out through the rent.
Which brings your baseline operational cost down significantly compared to paying that ongoing convenience premium month after month in a serviced office.
That completely changes the financial dynamic. You get the custom build-out, but you keep your cash in the bank to run your business.
You remain CapEx-free while gaining a bespoke asset.
But the real star of the show for the managed office, the thing that I think CFOs and operations managers absolutely dream about, is what the document calls privacy and predictability.
The holy grail for finance teams.
Specifically, the report focuses heavily on the single, fixed monthly payment. Let's drill into that. Why is a single invoice such a game changer?
To understand the value of the single invoice, you have to understand the chaos it replaces.
The traditional lease chaos.
Yes. Let's look at a traditional lease, the old way of doing things. A company takes on an empty shell. They pay base rent to the landlord.
Simple enough so far.
But that is just the beginning. Then they pay separate, fluctuating bills for commercial business rates.
Okay.
Building service charges, electricity, water, high-speed fiber internet, daily cleaning services, physical security, waste management,
It never ends.
and ongoing facility maintenance is a highly unpredictable, multi-layered cost structure.
Just processing and auditing all those different supplier invoices requires dedicated internal accounting staff.
It's an administrative burden.
And if energy prices spike, your operational budget gets blown out of the water, you have no buffer.
Precisely. It is inefficient and volatile. The managed office model entirely eliminates that friction.
By rolling it all together.
You get the total privacy of your own fully dedicated branded space. But every single operational cost is rolled into one.
Everything.
From the base rent to the amortized cost of your custom fit-out, down to the Wi-Fi, the electricity, and the person who comes in to clean the floors at night.
All in one single fixed monthly payment.
One invoice.
Incredible. You know exactly, down to the penny, what your real estate is going to cost you every single month for the next 24 months.
No surprises.
No sudden spikes in utility costs, no unexpected bills because the HVAC unit broke and you had to call a mechanic. Total financial predictability.
That allows a business leader to forecast their growth with a level of certainty that a traditional lease simply cannot offer.
Because your biggest variable is now locked in.
However, just as with the serviced model, this bridge solution requires trade-offs.
Nothing is perfect.
The deep dive into the drawbacks of the managed office reveals that the primary sacrifice is immediate flexibility.
The 2-year anchor.
The heavy anchor of a 2-year commitment means you cannot simply turn the volume dial down if your market contracts abruptly.
Right. If we go back to our earlier scenario, say I lock into a 40-person custom-managed space.
Right.
6 months into the 2-year term, a major global recession hits. Or AI disrupts my industry, and I have to have my team down to 20 people. What happens?
You are legally obligated to continue paying the single fixed monthly payment for the full 40-person space for the remaining 18 months.
Ouch.
You have traded hyperelasticity for financial stability and bespoke design. You cannot simply shed the space like you could in a serviced model.
You are carrying dead weight.
You are locked in.
And because it is a bespoke design, you also face the reality of a longer setup time.
You can't just move in tomorrow.
The source explicitly points out that design and fit out take weeks. You can't just decide you need an office on a Tuesday and move in on a Thursday like the plug-and-play model.
It is a fundamentally different timeline.
What does that timeline look like?
You have to sit down with space planners, analyze how your teams interact, approve architectural designs, select materials,
That sounds like a project in itself.
and then wait for the provider's contractors to actually build it out, paint it, and wire it.
So you need runway.
A business must have patience and, more importantly, a longer operational runway before they can occupy the space. It requires strategic foresight.
Which brings us to the final and perhaps most philosophical drawback noted in the text regarding managed offices.
The vision requirement.
The vision requirement. I love this concept. The report states that a managed office strictly requires a clear long-term vision. You cannot just wing it.
You cannot adopt a wait-and-see approach to your headcount, your operational needs, or your corporate culture.
You have to know who you are.
To comfortably sign a 2-year term and design a highly specific custom space, a leadership team must have a high degree of confidence in their 2026 growth trajectory.
They need a real plan.
They must know exactly where their business is going over the next 24 months. If a leadership team lacks that clarity, a managed office will feel like a straitjacket rather than a sanctuary.
So what does this all mean? We have our two contenders clearly defined by the frameworks.
Oh, do.
On one side, the serviced office. Immediate, hyper-flexible, zero setup. Incredible for volatile growth, but expensive over time and lacking in deep brand identity or privacy.
The agile option.
On the other side, the managed office. Bespoke, highly branded, cost-effective at scale with a single predictable bill, but demanding a strict 2-year commitment, a longer setup, and a very clear strategic vision.
The stable option.
This is the ultimate head-to-head comparison. When a decision maker is looking at this booming 2026 market, how do they actually choose?
It fundamentally boils down to a battle between flexibility versus stability.
That is the core conflict.
And to truly evaluate this for a specific business, we need to look at a critical, often hidden factor that the source material touches upon,
Okay, let's hear it.
which is the burden of maintenance and upkeep.
Oh, the plumbing.
Yes, we need to look at how both of these models handle the sheer operational headache of running an office, because they do it in subtly different ways that deeply impact a leadership team's peace of mind.
I'm glad you brought this up because nobody starts a brilliant AI tech company or an innovative legal consultancy or a cutting-edge design firm because they want to spend their Tuesday afternoons arguing with a plumber about a leaking toilet.
Or resetting a router.
Right. The drain on mental bandwidth is huge. How does the service model handle this?
In the service model, as the document notes, it provides a fully furnished operational environment out of the box. The upkeep is entirely collective and invisible to you.
Invisible upkeep.
If the enterprise Wi-Fi goes down, or the high-end coffee machine breaks, or a light bulb flickers in the hallway, it is entirely the building manager's problem.
You just don't worry about it.
You just log a digital ticket on their app and ignore it.
Yeah.
You bear zero responsibility for the physical infrastructure.
Okay, but what about the managed model? If it's my own private, bespoke sanctuary that I designed, do I have to fix the bespoke plumbing when it breaks?
This is where the managed model shines as a hybrid. It utilizes a third-party provider to actively manage your custom space.
So they still handle the headaches.
Even though it is your private environment, you are still completely insulated from facility management.
Give me an example.
If the dedicated HVAC system in your custom boardroom fails, or the secure server room you had built needs maintenance, the third-party provider is contractually obligated to fix it rapidly.
And who pays for that repair?
Crucially, the cost of that repair is still covered under that single fixed monthly payment.
That is massive.
You do not get a surprise bill for a new air conditioning unit.
That is a massive relief. Both models share this incredible advantage. They strip away the friction of traditional facility management, allowing leadership to maintain a pure, undivided focus on business growth.
You aren't in the real estate business.
You're in your own business. The divergence isn't in if the space is managed, but how the costs and commitments are structured over time.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the ultimate metric for CFOs and decision makers looking at these two options, the break-in point.
This is where the math really crystallizes the strategy.
Walk us through it.
Synthesizing the financial data from the strategic frameworks, we can clearly identify a critical 12 to 24-month window. This is the financial inflection point.
The tipping point.
Before 12 months, if your timeline is short or highly uncertain, the agility of the serviced office and the complete lack of any initial capital commitment makes it the clear, undeniable financial winner.
The premium is worth the ability to walk away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But as time goes on,
As you move past that 12-month mark, and certainly as you approach 24 months, the lines on the graph cross dramatically.
a math flips.
The ongoing monthly premium of a serviced office begins to heavily eclipse the value of the single fixed monthly payment and the reduced cost per desk savings of a managed office. It's the moment the flexibility fee becomes a financial penalty.
It really does.
If you stay in a serviced office for 2 years and your headcount remain relatively stable the whole time, you have almost certainly overpaid by a massive margin compared to what you could have achieved in a managed office.
A substantial amount of wasted capital.
Plus, you missed out on 2 full years of having a private space that perfectly reflects your brand and deepens your cultural cohesion.
You paid for an ejection seat you never used.
You paid for an ejection seat you never used. I love that.
The cost of unused flexibility is one of the biggest silent killers of operational budgets in this current market.
It's invisible waste.
So, to apply this knowledge effectively, we have to turn this theoretical analysis outward. We have to look at the practical reality of navigating London's dynamic landscape today.
Exactly. And I want to turn this directly to you listening to this deep dive right now. Whether you are driving or on a train or sitting in an office that maybe doesn't quite fit your needs anymore,
You have a choice to make.
you are the one making the call. You are the one looking at this 100% surge in the London market and deciding how your company reacts. I want you to ask yourself, what is my actual 2026 growth strategy?
You have to be honest with yourself about your trajectory.
Are you in a phase of rapid, unpredictable, explosive fluctuation? Do you need to be able to move a team of 20 into a prime location next week and maybe scale them to 40 by Christmas or drop them to 10 by next spring?
If that is your reality, the serviced office, despite the premium, is your survival mechanism.
It's the only way you survive that kind of volatility.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, you must also ask, is your business stabilizing? Do you have a clear 24-month vision?
Right.
Do you need your team surrounded by your specific brand ethos, insulated in a private sanctuary, with highly predictable single invoice costs that protect your balance sheet from inflation and utility spikes?
What stands out to you? When you look at your organizational chart, your cash flow projections, and the fragility or strength of your company culture, which of these models aligns with your true trajectory?
It's a fundamental alignment question.
Because, as the document makes explicitly clear, making the wrong choice here is devastating. Trapping a highly volatile, fluctuating team in a rigid 2-year managed term will suffocate your agility.
You'll be paralyzed.
Conversely, bleeding capital by keeping a highly stable, mature team in a premium rolling service contract will slowly drain your resources and dilute your brand.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
Either mistake will fundamentally hinder your competitive edge in a London market that is moving faster than ever.
This raises an important point regarding how we view corporate strategy as a whole.
How so?
Knowledge is most valuable when it is deeply understood, contextualized, and practically applied. The physical workspace you choose from these frameworks will directly and undeniably dictate your operational efficiency.
It sets the baseline.
It dictates the depth of your cultural cohesion and the financial agility you have to maneuver in the coming years. Real estate in the 2026 framework is no longer just a passive backdrop where work happens.
It's an active, aggressive participant in your business strategy.
It absolutely is.
It is a tool, and you have to choose the right one for the specific phase of growth you are in.
A critical tool.
What a phenomenal deep dive into a really complex decision. We have unpacked the absolute explosion of the 2026 London commercial real estate market.
100% surge.
We've seen that avoiding long-term traditional capital expenditure is the absolute name of the game for modern CFOs.
CapEx to OpEx.
But the ultimate strategic choice boils down to a very clear dichotomy. Are you going to pay a monthly convenience premium for the ultimate hyper-flexible plug-and-play elasticity of a serviced space?
The agile path.
Or are you ready and stable enough to commit to a 2-year term to secure a customized, highly branded, cost-effective single-payment sanctuary in a managed office?
The frameworks provide the map, but only the leadership team can determine the destination.
That's very true.
The data suggests that those who align their real estate model accurately with their growth phase will find themselves at a significant operational advantage as this market continues to evolve.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final lingering thought to ponder on your own.
Something to mull over.
It's something that wasn't explicitly debated in the financial data we covered, but it's a shadow hanging over the strategy. The report stated early on that this 100% surge in demand for flexible premium space is largely to support hybrid working.
People wanting options.
People are splitting their time. They have choices now. So if businesses are pouring massive resources into these state-of-the-art managed or service spaces simply to lure people out of their comfortable home offices, how might the actual physical design of an office in 2026 need to radically change to convince employees that commuting is actually worth the effort?
It's a profound question.
If culture and cohesion are the ultimate goals of bringing people together, does the physical space serve the workers, or do the workers serve the space?
That is the ultimate challenge for leadership right now.
It is something to chew on as you plan your next strategic move. Thank you so much for joining us today, for bringing your curiosity, and for coming along on this deep dive into the strategic frameworks of tomorrow's workspaces. We will catch you on the next one.